Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We're back. There's something different in the air this week. It's 70 degrees in Pennsylvania. I smell football. I smell Sunday football. And we got big news. We're giving 2 tickets away for the home opener. And I really feel like Take Your Pick we're not the heroes that Philly wants, but we're the heroes that Philly needs. Tell us another group of 3 random guys that does more for this city than we do.
You won't.
You won't find them. Definitely not in the suburbs, I'll tell you that.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about them this year. I know you guys are excited. We've talked a lot about this over the last couple months. On paper, everything looks right. Schedule looks favorable. Sean, tell me just initial thoughts, expectations, who you're excited to see in green.
For sure. Baseline expectation for me is NFC East. You have to win the division. There's no excuses. To me, top to bottom, from comparing rosters, they are by far the best team in the NFC East. Secondly, I don't know how many wins that is. I think they should win 11 plus. I'm not going to go through the schedule and win, loss. But at the end of the year, they should have 11 or more. I mean, their schedule is very light. If they don't win 11 plus, my gut feeling would be is Jalen Hurts isn't the guy. But, I mean, I think they're going to win a bunch of games. I really do. 11, 12. I mean, their schedule's pretty easy.
To me, it's like we talk about every time. The trenches will win them 8. Jalen needs to win you 3 off his arm and off his legs. That's really all it boils down to. The trenches alone are going to get them 8 wins, especially when you stack them up against the rest of the NFC East. I mean, O-line, D-line matchups, they dominate the Giants and the Skins on defense. But, I mean, the Cowboys O-line's old at this point. We've been hearing about them
and banged up now. I mean, they just re-signed Jason Peters.
Peters coming in Dallas.
Who was cooked 2 or 3 years ago playing for us. Like, I mean, they're on their last leg already. The season hasn't even started yet.
Yeah. I those trenches and those weapons. I'm just excited. I'm excited. And Rob, you know me better than anybody. I'm never excited about an Eagles football season. I'm always pessimistic.
Well, like everything else, like our heart's on our sleeve with this team. But I was gonna say though, Mike, like I feel like every year going in, because of that, like we have this weird ability to somehow take those emotions, but be somewhat objective and have a pretty consistent outlook on the season, right? Because like we knew going into the last year, Dougie P, like we started early at that first Washington game, fading the Birds. We knew it wasn't going to be a good end, or we didn't know it was at the time the end of Dougie P's tenure, but that last year. Before Sirianni came in, we knew it wasn't going to be a great year. We had that feeling going in. Just like the year before, I know you were pessimistic again, like as you usually are going in the year before, and a lot of it comes down to really what, again, this year going into the year is the ultimate question, the quarterback. Last year, a little bit more pessimistic. I was a little higher on the Eagles, thinking a little bit more of that 7 to 9 range, and that's really where they ultimately wound up. And then this year going in, I'm even higher on the Eagles, and I think the Birds have a lot to work with. Again, the ultimate question for me is Jalen Hurts in the quarterback position, because I don't know what else you could have expected this organization to do to otherwise put Hurts and the team overall in a better position to succeed this year right now. Like, it's funny how, we never really do use the term rebuilding with the Eagles organization. It's a credit to the organization because, we come on here, we talk about organizations like the Steelers, like consistent organizations, the Patriots that do well over a consistent period of time. I mean, you got to give credit to, like, I think Jeffrey Lurie and his tenure, and just like the managers, Howie Roseman now at this time, there isn't any rebuild. It was a quick reload, and you're reloading around this young quarterback, right? Giving him everything he could potentially need to succeed. And now the question is, can he do it? And by the way, if not, you've also established resources in the future by way of this, next year's draft, 2 first-round picks to decide to look at other options, right? So very well positioned. So it's so hard not to be excited, and including all the other reasons you guys already mentioned: schedule, roster, etc. Right? So I'm thinking 10 wins. I love 10-7. I love a division win. And I'm hopeful for a playoff run. I think that's realistic, and that's also what I'm betting on.
I have a question. This might be wild. Is it possible for them to get the 1 seed in the NFC?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think it's that crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think so either. And now this is what's making me nervous. Is I'm looking at that schedule, I'm looking at their roster, and I'm looking at how all the rest of the NFC looks like it's going to shape out. The NFC West is going to cannibalize itself. Those 3 teams between the Cardinals, Niners, and the Rams, they're all going to beat each other a couple of times. And I won't count Seattle out to steal 1 or 2 in the division. It's the NFL. They're going to grab 1 or 2 against one of those teams. The North is just kind of like, to me, now more than ever, just like a crapshoot between the Vikings and the Packers. And we'll find out on Sunday whether or not the Vikings are for real. Because now it's like they've been your big brother. You hit your growth spurt. You're the same size as them now. Do you have it in you to win like week 1 at home nonetheless? Like you have to win that game. If they lose that game, Packers win the division. And yeah, I mean the South, do the Bucks really terrify you? I feel like they're gonna
Nobody in the NFC terrifies me.
No,
Like,
right?
who's that good in the NFC?
The Birds, the Bucks.
I expect the Bucks, the Packers in particular, right? The teams that we've seen the past couple of years, I'm banking on them to take a step back this year. Just with the changes that both teams have had over the offseason, I don't expect them to keep up, a double-digit win pace. Maybe Tampa Bay because of the talent in their division, but I still expect New Orleans and Carolina in particular to be feisty. And to your point, Mike, I expect you take out the bottom feeders, Atlanta, Seattle, and even then, to your point, there's always those divisional games every year, right? Where Jacksonville, Indianapolis at the end of last year, right? Where that team, they may get 1 or 2. Otherwise, these divisions are going to be competitive, right? The West, you mentioned the 3 teams in the West. Don't count out Detroit and Chicago putting up some fights against, Minnesota, Green Bay, and themselves and other teams, respectively, right? And then in the South, I mentioned, New Orleans and Carolina, and then of course, the East, right? So that being said, I think it is wide open. Like I think those front runners from years past are liable to take a step back this year. So teams I'm looking at include San Fran, Minnesota, New Orleans, and Philly in each division, like as those like kind of dark horse next level teams, right, and each one behind the traditional favorite in that division or the defending champ, right, with the Rams.
Yeah, I feel like when you compare the Eagles roster, and at this point, I don't even like to compare them to the NFC East. They're better than all those teams, in my opinion. And I don't think I've said this in probably like 5-6 years. They are top to bottom on paper better than the Cowboys. That is a fact right now, barring injuries or whatever. But even with the depth at defensive and offensive line, I still can weather a couple O-line, D-line injuries for a couple weeks and be better than the Cowboys still. That's how I feel. But then you look at the other perennial teams, like I guess the Rams are the top dog, obviously. They have some issues. I mean, right now they're not even the favorite at home. So Vegas is already counting them out against the Bills. That to me looks like a problem. The Bucks, I mean, Tom Brady doesn't need to be at camp, but he hasn't been, so clearly he's taken a step back. That team's done nothing but get older. I think they're going to stumble out of the gates and then find stride, make the playoffs, make a run. But to me, boys, it's the Birds are the best team in the NFC on paper. Am I crazy for thinking that?
I feel like that's a little hot takey. I think it's tough to discount the Rams and like the talent that the superstar talent that they do have. Everyone else, I kind of agree top to bottom, but the Eagles could be missing the most important position in all of sports. So, I mean, where is that weighted when you're comparing a roster?
Yeah,
I think
you're right.
Two games stick out to me from last year. The first one, and you mentioned the Cowboys roster, Mike. The first one is that Cowboys game in Dallas last year, where the Eagles' offensive and defensive line got absolutely manhandled to the point of which, like, I've never seen, or I can't remember the last time I saw them lose the battle in the trenches. Again, the one that they invest so heavily in, they do perennially succeed in, right? You know, on the offensive and defensive side of the ball up front, that's where they build their team from inside out. I mean, that goes back to, you know, Joe Banner teaching Jeffrey Lurie that, and Andy Reid and Howie Rosen, right? So, but it's true, right? And I mean, you know, so I need to see that on paper, that advantage. I need to see what the advantage on paper on the field. Like particularly like in that Dallas game. Let's go down to Dallas and bring the lunch pail this time. Show up, right? Make sure you bring your lunch, but you got to show up to remember to bring your lunch, right? And then take care of that. The second thing that sticks out for me is the Tampa Bay, obviously the wild card game. And for that all goes to the question of the quarterback. Because to me, like in that game, you saw all the limitations that is Jalen Hurts and a Jalen Hurts led offense, right? So what did the additional pieces do to help alleviate some of the limitations? How does Jalen Hurts progress from year 2 to year 3? Most specifically, like post snap reads and progressions, right? That's what we want to see.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's the biggest question mark. He's going to cost you 2 games that you should win.
I don't know about that. I don't know. Even the past couple of years, I don't know if he's really Can you think of a game like he's given away?
The Giants last year.
Nobody played well that game. That was
for sure.
And we've seen
he played extra not well.
Sean, how many times have we seen that Giants game? Whether from Donovan McNabb to Michael Vick,
sure.
We've seen that game so many times. Whether it's in the Meadowlands or in Philly.
For sure. When you throw 4 picks, though, it's on you.
But that's what those games look like, right? All the turnovers, but at the end of the day, should have won the game, right? Like,
yeah, for sure. Had a chance at the end. Yep.
So I'll give him the one flub, right? But like, I don't think he's a liability. Again, even in the Tampa Bay game, the liability is the limitations, right? Like he'll protect the ball unless, there's certain times he'll force things and may make mistakes, right? But the liability for Hurts, I think, is really more so his limitations as a quarterback, as a passer, less so obviously as an athlete, as a runner, but more so as a passer.
Do you worry about him trying to force the ball to A.J. Brown early in the season?
No. If he's smart enough, there's so much else there.
I hope. I just hope that there aren't rumblings in the locker room that he's trying to force feed him the first couple weeks when, like you say, there's so many other options. There's no reason to do that. And in my opinion, I think Dallas Goedert pops up as like a top five tight end by the end of the season.
Someone on that offense is going to require extra attention. Who defenses decide to give that extra attention to, and how often, and under what personnel, that's up for them to decide on a week-by-week basis. But tell me how you don't provide extra attention to at least one of A.J. Brown and or Dallas Goedert, right? And then, mind you have Devonta Smith, the optionality that Quez Watkins provides, and then the entire running game of the Eagles offense, right? So with all those options, with all those like opportunities, somebody attention has to be diverted to stopping somebody or the run game or whatever it may be. There's going to be opportunities everywhere, right? And it's up to the offense. And I think, again, like, come on, like I think they realize like that's what they need to do. Like everything will come on its own because there's going to be opportunities for everybody.
Yeah,
it's up to the point guard. Where is the concern on offense? Like between at every position level, like Sean, tell me where they don't have a Super Bowl level position apart from quarterback on offense. Ergo, right? It's up to your guy to get the ball in the right hands at the right time.
For sure. No, I agree. I mean, the running back leaves a little bit to be desired, but it's not. Sure. It's not awful. Like it's competent enough to get the job done. I mean, if this team
the Super Bowl done, like if you look at running back contracts of Super Bowl winners, including last year, and you look at right? Like we have enough to get the job done for sure.
For sure.
Maybe an extra piece, a la like Jay Ajayi, like something along the season, but there's enough here to start.
No, I agree. If you have Patrick Mahomes, if you have Tom Brady, if you have Aaron Rodgers on this team, you're saying this team should be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the question is, I mean, it's all about Hurts this season. That's really all that matters.
I mean, how do you not tip your cap to Howie for addressing all the major problems on defense? I mean, you go get a second corner, and then you make that late trade in August. I mean, you add secondary, you add major, not even depth. You just add 3 linebackers into the rotation, and I think all of which that I've seen look good. Yeah, I just don't think that defense is going to get abused. You know what, Rob, to your point about the Dallas game, they built that up so that doesn't happen again this season. They got beefy on the inside, all three levels.
Yeah. The only concern that I have, Mike, would be depth at the secondary, right? And I think anybody would say that, right? Like, what else is the issue at defense? Like, again, like quarterback play on offense, on defense, what's the concern? And obviously, that everybody has to get to the passer, right? So you want to make sure you're getting to the passer. We talked a bit last year about how at times they were struggling with that. So, but I feel like you have a great rotation of guys that are going to be ready to get at the passer, including the addition of Hassan Reddick. Linebackers, you mentioned how many, essentially restock the cupboard in the linebacker room. And then on the secondary, you still add it at both positions, short up your starting, with Bradbury and Chauncey Gardner. But now you have the question of if anybody goes down, who's stepping up, particularly more so with the safety positions, I think is the issue. I mean, you still have the question of whether Chauncey Gardner can transition to safety because, the Saints didn't think he could. So really the safety position still remains a question and the depth behind it, but and the depth behind cornerback, right? Because if you're telling me the fourth cornerback would be presumably, I think McPherson, we haven't really seen him get much of like real game time. And while I like to, support the former Penn State product, like I haven't really seen him play on the field outside of any garbage preseason action.
I feel like those problems you just brought up defensively, there is no real depth at cornerback around the NFL. Not one team has 3 premier corners. Honest to God, there might not be more than 5 around the league. And then it just comes down to, is your defensive line capable of masking your deficiencies in the secondary, which I think the Birds might have one of the most well-rounded defensive lines in the league.
Yeah, that's scary.
It is scary.
Think about your rusher. Go through your rushers. You have, you're starting with the vets with Cox. You got Hargrave in the middle, and you're adding Jordan Davis, and we see what he looks like, what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Now go through your pass rush rotation between Reddick, Graham coming back off of injury, understood, but and you bring back Barnett. Is Sweat, you're hoping takes another jump. You got 4 guys right there that are, mixed in with those tackles that are going to cause a lot of problems. And then you add in the sideline to sideline guys at the next level, at the linebacker position you talked about, White, Dean. Hopefully he gives you something as a rookie, and you already have Edwards. But it could be scary. It could be. Not to mince words with Ben Simmons, but we'll see what happens. Like I said, there's a lot to be shown on the field.
Yeah, we're going to find out what Jonathan Gannon is this year. I mean, the guy's already getting head coaching opportunities and interviews. Like, you got to earn it now. Yeah. I mean, if they don't have a top 10 defense, I don't want to hear his name anymore. That's how I feel about it.
We're going to find out early too, Sean. I think we find out week 1. Like, Mike, I think I'm excited for the giveaway. What a way to open Lincoln Financial Field this year with a Monday night against the Vikings, because I could totally see the Vikings and the Eagles being 2 of the 2 NFC teams fighting it out for that number 1 seed you mentioned earlier, and that being a big game playing a role in standings down at the end of the season. But I think even before that, week 1 against Detroit, take out all the Hard Knocks love that they're going to get going into the season. But I think it'll present a real first test for the Birds on week 1. It's not your typical. It's not going to be like last year's Lions game. Let's put it that way. It'll be more of a fight, and I think it'll be one where we could see the defense maybe and see what it's worth early on.
Yeah, the Lions have the weapons to. You have to earn it on defense. They have some dudes over there, but it really comes down to that D line getting to Jared Goff, and after you get to him a couple of times, it's the proof's already in the pudding. So you just get the Goff and don't give their weapons time. DeAndre Swift is, I think, a very solid running back. Amon St. Brown, I think, solid. Not somebody that like scares me yet, but I do like what I saw last year, and I like what I see in Hard Knocks of him. Yeah, they have some guys over there that can hurt you, and Jamal Williams.
DJ Chark, TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, I'm worried about DJ Chark, Sean. I am, and I've been a big fan of his over the course of the last couple of years. I've been pulling for him. I just viewed him as like another Allen Robinson that didn't have a quarterback. And he goes and gets a deal in Detroit with another non-quarterback. I just feel like he's going to be one of those guys that is forgotten quickly. But he could make it up this season. I mean, they need a big body possession wide receiver, and he should be that guy. But I do worry about him week one. Who do you put Slay on out of that wide receiver core? Or do you just let him play his half of the field?
Yeah, I don't think it really matters. I mean, honestly, I look at it as I have 2 number 1 corners and they have 2 number 2 receivers. So I really don't like. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Yeah, sure, you had a good 5 weeks at the end of the year, but I mean, you're not Devontae Adams all of a sudden. Yeah, you get whoever the hell we decide to put on you. You don't be special privilege. No, you got to earn that.
I like that. You have 2 number 2s. We have 2 number 1s. Good luck.
Right.
Yeah, gets me fired up.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they played it, Sean, right? Like just Slay having his choice to the side and Bradbury having the other, and then just kind of going at it, lining up with whoever's on the other side. If anything, Slay maybe matches up with St. Brown, but otherwise, I think it's more so what you said, Sean. Doesn't matter.
But to your point, he hasn't earned the right to be shadowed all game. Like, you're not that scary. There's wide receivers like you across the league, as far as I'm concerned, right now.
Somebody's got to put up numbers for that team last year, right? Like they had to go somewhere with the ball. That wasn't TJ Hawkinson, right? So,
yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that one. I think that's going to be a little grittier than we hope it will be. That won't be a bloodbath. That would be my prediction.
Think last year's Atlanta game opener. It's tight early, but when it's at the end of the game, it looks like the Eagles kind of took care of it. That's what I would look forward to, and like that D line really getting to them more towards that second half, much like they opened the season last year. I would expect if I had to bet, I would expect a pace similar to that.
Yeah, honest to God, I think come fourth quarter, your defensive line depth, barring injuries, obviously, but throughout the course of a season, come fourth quarter, and you have a rotation like that, that really does make a huge difference when all your boys are fresh and your 5 guys have just been getting smoked for 60 minutes of game time. That makes a big difference come week 10, so on and so forth down the line, especially with those football injuries that those big guys just like don't even tell anybody about. That makes a big difference when you have somebody like Jordan Davis on the other end. Granted, even if they only let him play 20 snaps, doesn't matter. You still got to block. 2 of you have to block him for 20 snaps.
For sure. Are either of you guys taking him on Sunday?
I have a rule. I just really try not to back the Birds. With all my heart and soul, I try not to back the Birds. Granted, if I had to, the 4, I think they should cover it. Yeah, they should cover it.
Yeah, there's enough. I'm seeing enough just from like a market perspective just to stay away from the Birds. Like I've told you guys before, usually I see a lot of love for the Birds like on the market, but like there's enough moving in Detroit's way. Again, like I don't know how much of it is public, how much of it is Hard Knocks love, like Darling love, but there's just enough for me to just kind of like, I can enjoy the opener home or the season opener without putting anything on the Birds. So I'll stay away. Actually, I have to pick the game, right? Weekly pick'ems. If we're picking the game, I'm taking the 4 points. I'll go that far. Expect a tight one, and expect the Birds to win and handle it. I don't think it should be that close, but season opener, I wouldn't pick against it. That's all.
What I could see happening, Sean, is comes out slow. Looks like the Lions are in the football game, but come fourth quarter, good teams win games that they should. And the Lions, no matter how many steps forward they took, are still in a certain spot on that pecking order in the NFL. And they're just not ready to win a game like that. Granted, if they do pull off a win week 1, I feel like the whole dynamic of that organization changes. And all that rah-rah stuff by Dan Campbell does pay off dividends for them. I just can't see. That's a tough draw for them week 1 is the Birds. The only thing that could hurt the Birds is all the offseason hype about them. But
that's what scares me.
Yeah, like in the beginning, like the underdog thing helps you. You throw some punches, you leave it all out there early, but come fourth quarter, the Birds are a better football team. And I'm not ready to say that Dan Campbell's a better football coach than Sirianni because he's not. Better coach, better team. You have to win week 1. It's really all it boils down to. Yeah. Do you guys have predictions for Thursday? Real quick, rattle it off. Sean, start.
I don't have a pick. I have a lean Rams +2, 2.5, 3, whatever the hell it is now. I don't understand the line, which is why I'm staying away from it completely. For Buffalo to be laying 2 in LA, coming off winning the Super Bowl, it's just an insane amount of Bills love that, in my opinion, isn't really deserved. I love the Bills as much as the next guy, but I'm not just picking you to lay 3 at the beginning of the year against the Super Bowl champs.
I like that. I agree.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, no, I agree with Sean. I'm right there with him. I think if you look at the trend for defending Super Bowl champions heading into the year, it's very positive against the spread in their favor. I do think there's a lot of money on the Bills, and I think it's a good like contrarian play. I like the Rams. I like the Rams with the 2.5, but I also like the money line as well. If I'm getting under a field goal in any event, I'll take a sprinkle on the money line too. So I lean Rams both ways there, and I'll look to make it a play as we get closer. I do have one official play out already though, Mike. It's already out. I don't know if you guys saw last night. Check the Twitter, everyone, because like. So my new thing, like this season going in, we've talked about this. Want to try to capitalize on a couple that might move one way or another throughout the week. So this week, my early look ahead would be Cowboys and Buccaneers total under 50.5. It was only available at FanDuel when I put it in last night. When I saw it was DraftKings brought it up to 50.5 earlier today. So. One I'm looking to see maybe get lower as we get closer to Sunday night, but we can get into that. But that's early first week 1 look ahead line that we had this week.
I like it.
I like that too.
Getting ahead of the first Sunday night football games under.
Yeah.
Especially if that number starts to come down because know the general public wants to see a light show between the Cowboys and the Buccaneers, and that's what they're going to expect. Mm-hmm. I know I love that play. I mean, you could tell me that's any number on earth, and I'll probably take the under. I love that angle. Boys, I'm with you on the Rams. Like, when did they become like a patsy football team all of a sudden? And they were my darling team all of last year. You both know how I feel about Matt Stafford. They're saying that he's got a ton of problems. He's ready to rock. That dude
I don't
is
see enough to bet against
animal.
Them. Yeah, I don't see enough to bet against them. Like I said, like Sean. It's right now. It's really only a lean for me. I just don't see enough to bet against them. And because it's like short, they're only getting 2.5. Maybe make a play on the money line, but that's it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Everybody, giveaways coming out. We're gonna be live streaming every Sunday morning, giving out all the official plays. Gonna be doing Tuesday recaps. We're so excited to have this back. It's the best time of the year, boys. I can't wait. Everybody, thanks for listening, and we will see you again soon.